Hi, this is Paula Quincy, and I've had a number of requests from people that missed the interview this morning on the difference between being alone and loneliness. So I thought I'd recap our discussion and you could then download it and watch it in your own free time. So let's discuss what is the difference between being alone and lonely. Well, for simple purposes, being alone is a being state. It's something that you do. For example, you're sitting alone underneath the tree reading a book, and you're okay with that. You're okay with your own company. You're comfortable in your own skin. Being lonely, on the other hand, is an emotional state or feeling or mindset. In other words, we feel disconnected potentially from ourselves. We feel disconnected from our partners, from friends, from family, and we can play this out in a number of ways in our life. There's a number of contributing factors that can lead us to feeling lonely. We can be single and we can be lonely, and we can be in a relationship and we can be lonely. So anybody can be susceptible to feeling lonely. Why people feel lonely? Well, there are a number of reasons. For example, they may have gone through some sort of traumatic event. They could have lost an animal, a child. They could have gone through a divorce or a breakup. They could have even been the death of a special person or a loved one in their life, like a parent, anyone that played a significant role. And they haven't necessarily worked through that grief or that trauma and the loss of it. And that loss leaves a void, a feeling where we're feeling empty or numb. And if we don't watch out for those kind of symptoms and those feelings and do something about it, in extreme cases, we can head into bouts of depression or extreme depression, and in some cases even suicide or suicidal thoughts. So if this is you and you are feeling some of these symptoms, then I would highly recommend that you do seek some professional help to help you unpack what you're feeling and going through, and to help you with some coping tools and mechanisms to deal with this stage of your life and to be able to move forward. What can happen as well when someone is feeling lonely is they start to isolate themselves. They start to withdraw, either from their partner in a relationship point of view or just from society at large. In other words, they stop making an effort to contact their friends or engage with their friends. They withdraw from a personality and a behavior point of view. They're constantly feeling down or moody, or just even numb. And what can happen is we can take on board coping mechanisms to help us deal with this. In other words, we avoid dealing with it. And some of those coping mechanisms can be things such as emotional eating, substance abuse, and that can be things like alcohol, drugs, painkillers, antidepressants, anything along those lines. We could also do things like throwing ourselves into situations to avoid dealing with it, or to try and get rid of that void or that numbness that we're feeling. And some of these examples can be things such as throwing ourselves into the workplace, in other words, becoming a workaholic, and our whole focus and attention revolves around work. It can also be sports and hobbies, so things like gym, cycling, running, fishing, anything that we sort of clutch onto that gives us an identity and a sense of purpose. Now, not all coping mechanisms are bad or unhealthy. There are lots of positive ones. But you need to unpack and understand what coping mechanisms are you potentially using and why are you using them? What is the underlying reason? Because, as I said, not all of them are negative. So I hope this has given you some insights and some food for thought when it comes to understanding the difference about being alone and being lonely, and that if you are experiencing any of these things, to please seek help, get in touch with a professional near you, definitely do something about it, don't leave it. And thank you for tuning in and watching.